Hello friends, I am Dr. Saurabh Patwardhan from Nandadi PG Teaching Institute, Sangli, Maharashtra, India, and in this video I'll be telling few of the nuances of prenatal cataract surgery. So first comes the management of the anterior capsule. As we know all that the capsule in the pediatric age group is very elastic and so is the sclera. So it's like tightrope walking when we do the anterior CCC. After staining the anterior capsule to make it little bit more less elastic, we can start doing the capsulorhexis under 1.8% or 3% hyaluronate. That's my OVD of choice. It is must. We can't do it under HPMC successfully all the time. So after making the first nick, I use the micro capsulorhexis forceps, and then the important thing to achieve good size rhexis, not to have extension of rhexis, it is to have centripetal pull over the tear, and we just have to give little tangential stroke. It has to be very well controlled to enlarge the capsulorhexis little bit to the desired size. Remember, if you pull it tangentially as well little bit more than what is needed, it will go into the zonules, and never pull this edge centrifugally, it will definitely go outside. Another interesting technique and very useful which I use in my cases is the 2 incision push pull technique by Dr. Ken Nischal. So after staining the capsule, we create 2 nicks 5 mm apart to have 5 mm size rhexis, and then both these tears are pulled towards each other using the micro capsulorhexis forceps. Again, the use of heavy cohesive OVD is very important to make sure that the capsulorhexis of adequate size without extension of the capsulorhexis is achieved. Now the next thing is the posterior capsule management. The first part I will show how to manage the posterior capsule without IOL implantation, because in very younger age group we don't go for primary IOL implantation, particularly when there is bilateral cataract. So here I am doing bimanual irrigation aspiration of the lenticular matter. Bimanual IA is very useful to polish the anterior capsule, and then I am going to do posterior capsulorhexis. Avoid too deep or too shallow anterior chamber. Always use cohesive OVD. After making the first nick, lift the posterior capsule up, and then use the micro capsulorhexis forceps again to continue doing posterior capsulorhexis. Usually we aim for 3 to 4 mm central posterior capsulorhexis, and then do anterior vitrectomy using 25 gauge cutter. Smaller the better. Use highest cut rate and around 150 mm of vacuum. For doing PI, use Myocol, and then use low vacuum and low cut rate to do small peripheral PI. I always prefer PI when I leave the patient aphakic, but otherwise even in all cases of pediatric cataract. The next case is doing the management of the lens and the posterior capsule using vitrectomy probe itself. So we can use the vitrectomy probe as a irrigation aspiration cannula. We can use cutting for the denser part of the nucleus, and after removal of the lenticular matter, we can turn the same probe towards the posterior capsule, use the highest cut rate available, and make a posterior capsulotomy of around 3 to 4 mm, followed by anterior vitrectomy. We aim to cut around 1 to 2 mm of the anterior vitreous phase, and then again we use the same vitrectomy probe for doing peripheral iridectomy. Always use low vacuum for doing peripheral iridectomy, and if there is little bleed, we can always use air tamponade to stop this bleed. Always suture incisions in all cases of pediatric cataract. Because of the elastic sclera, they are never self-sealing. Occasionally the anterior capsule may also be fibrous, and we may have to use micro scissors, or we may have to use even vitrectomy probe to create the anterior capsular opening. So always keep it ready, so whenever needed we can use it. Now after removal of the lenticular matter here, what I am going to do is the posterior capsulorhexis and followed by antivitrectomy, and after doing antivitrectomy I am going to place the IOL in the back. So there are two options. One is to do this posterior capsular management and vitrectomy first. So look here, I have done the posterior capsular nick and then push some cohesive OVD to separate the anti-hyaloid, and then lifted this posterior capsular flap using the microcapsulorhexis forceps and complete the posterior capsulorhexis. Now posterior capsulorhexis usually doesn't extend to the periphery. It tends to remain smaller in size. It is unlike the anterior capsule, which tends to go outward. So the posterior capsulorhexis is actually easier than what you feel. After doing capsulorhexis of the posterior capsule, I am going to do anti-vitrectomy, and then always inject the IOL first in the anterior chamber. Avoid trying to inject IOL directly in the bag because it may go into the posterior capsular opening if it goes uncontrolled. And then once it is in the anterior chamber, you gently dial the haptics into the bag, making sure there is no excess traction over the posterior capsular opening, followed by peripheral iridectomy. Now after you place the IOL, peripheral iridectomy is always optional. Next case, I am going to show IOL implantation before doing anti-vitrectomy. So sometimes you are unsure about the IOL placement after doing anti-vitrectomy and posterior capsular opening. So it's also another way to do it, that you can put the IOL before doing the anti-vitrectomy. So in this case it was a posterior polar cataract, and when I tried to do posterior capsulorhexis, I realized that PC was actually absent in the central area. So I tried making an opening in the posterior capsule around it, but it was not possible. So I decided that I will place the IOL first in the bag, and then I will remove this opacification afterwards. So the procedure is same. IOL is injected in the anterior chamber and then gently dialed into the bag. Of course, placing a 3-piece IOL in the sulcus is also another option, but if possible we can always place single piece IOL in the bag. And now behind this IOL I am going with the vitrectomy probe, clearing the opacified part as well as cutting the posterior capsule to have around 3 to 4 mm opening. Avoid opening which is greater than 4 mm because we don't want the IOL optic to go behind. So keeping it around 4 mm is safer for the IOL placement. Always suture these incisions. It has to be again emphasized. Do not think that they will remain self-sealing. Now 3-piece IOL is also a good option, particularly when you want to place the IOL in the sulcus. So the technique followed is similar, placed in the AC first and then nudged into the sulcus, and then we can do anti-optic capture if the CCC is well centered. This prevents any decentration of this IOL and good refractive outcome. I use 10-0 Vicryl to close these small incisions. It's important that we close it with suture. The advantage of 10-0 Vicryl is that it dissolves, so you don't have to remove it later, unlike 10-0 nylon. But sometimes it may give rise to mild inflammation and granuloma formation, which may need removal. Thank you for watching the video.